Shanks is one of the most important characters in One Piece despite his smaller screen time. He's responsible for Luffy becoming a pirate and getting Joy Boy's fruit. He's responsible for maintaining the power balance in the Grand Line and the New World, considering the fact that he could have gone after the One Piece but doesn't seem to do so, instead choosing to partake in diplomacy as he waits for the new generation to take over. And he's able to play such a big role because he is ridiculously powerful. Although a lot about Shanks continues to remain unrevealed by Oda, despite him having been introduced almost 3 decades ago, we do know a fair bit about the red-haired pirate's abilities and origins, even when we're unsure of his true motives and reasons. So we'll be diving into Shanks and what we know about him in this video, and alluding to the things that we think we know about him with the information available to us. Origin of Shanks, from God Valley to Roger's crew. Born in the West Blue approximately 39 years before the events of the current One Piece saga, Shanks was found by the Roger pirates at God Valley while he was inside a treasure chest. No one knows how he wound up there, but he was taken in by Roger and his crew, where he became an apprentice at the age of 9 alongside Buggy. As per Shanks, he came from a town that produced wine. In a strange turn of events, we've learned that Shanks is a celestial dragon, as he hails from the Figureland family of Marie Joie. The confirmed member of that family, Figureland Garling, was a champion in the God Valley native hunting contest, which took place 38 years ago. In this contest, the world nobles hunted down the local residents of the island in the West Blue for entertainment. The place subsequently became the seat for a battle between the Roger Pirates and the Rocks Pirates. With Shanks being found in God Valley by the Roger Pirates, he probably came with the Figureland family. However, the details of how he ended up in a treasure chest remains unknown. At some point, Goldie Roger passed down his straw hat to Shanks, probably because he saw Shanks as the person who would succeed him. During this time, Shanks would spend most of his time with Buggy, with the two constantly bickering amongst one another. They had different values. For example, Shanks believed that treasure was not the only important thing in a pirate's life. However, they still got along well enough. At some point, the Roger Pirates conducted a raid on an enemy ship from where the crew retrieved the Paramecia-type devil fruit, the Bara Bara no Mi, or the Chop Chop fruit. Meanwhile, Buggy retrieved a treasure map that marked the location of an underwater treasure. The nature of the treasure remains unknown, but to this day, Buggy was attached to his goal of finding this treasure and never wanted to share the map with anyone. Anyways, during a post-raid party, Shanks and Buggy discussed their life plans and paths after they'd leave the crew, with the final verdict being that the both of them would be going their separate ways as pirates and meeting again as enemies. They would not be operating in the same crew as their beliefs and morals were too different. However, after Shanks told Buggy that the devil fruit they had found could be sold at over 100,000 berries, Buggy changed his plans and decided to sell the fruit himself. To execute this plan, Buggy tricked the crew by eating a fake version of the fruit while hiding the real one. However, as Shanks closed in on him while he hid the real fruit, Buggy put it in his mouth. Not to eat it, but because he didn't want Shanks to find out. Meanwhile, Shanks thought that Buggy was stealing some random food and later came back to tell him something surprising that Roger had done. In that state, Buggy accidentally swallowed the fruit. Soon after, Buggy's treasure map flew into the ocean and he jumped to retrieve it. However, Shanks had to jump in after him as consuming the devil fruit had taken away Buggy's ability to swim, sending him to the depths of the ocean that Shanks had to rescue him from. Almost a year down the line, Shanks was present during the clash between the Roger Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates. However, the fight mellowed out with Roger and Whitebeard eventually chatting over drinks while Shanks and Buggy gossiped about a suspicious member of Whitebeard's crew, Marshall D. Teach, a man who allegedly never slept. Eventually, the Roger Pirates met Odin, who used to be a part of the Whitebeard Pirates. With Odin knowing how to read the poneglyphs, Roger wanted the Wano samurai in his crew. Eventually, Roger managed to convince Whitebeard into letting Odin join the crew, and the Roger Pirates traveled from island to island, which was how Shanks got to visit the Sky Island of Skypiea, Water 7, Tequila Wolf, Fishman Island, Zo, and Sabody. After the pirates reached the so-called last island of Lodestar, Roger realized there was another island which was the real final island. He wanted to head there after visiting Zo, and the crew set out to be the first people in history to reach this last island. Ideally, Shanks should have been part of this adventure as well, but Buggy fell severely ill, so Shanks decided to stay behind to take care of his friend. However, he declared that he would someday go to the last island, which would eventually go on to be known as Laugh Tale. After visiting Laugh Tale and finding the One Piece, Roger became the king of the pirates. However, he was also set to be executed, which led to the crew disbanding. Naturally, Shanks left the crew and went his own way as well, but was present in Logetown during Roger's execution, where he clutched the straw hat on his head and shed tears for his former captain. The formation of the Red-Haired Pirates. Now carving his own path, Shanks created the Red-Haired Pirates named after himself as their captain. He recruited the likes of Usopp from Syrup Village, who was a skilled sharpshooter. Ben Beckman became his right-hand man, and Lucky Roo joined the crew as well. The crew was similar to Roger's in the sense that the Red-Haired Pirates had Haki users with no member having a devil fruit. This has led to speculation among the fan base, with people theorizing that the One Piece must be underwater, which can be attested by the treasure map of an underwater treasure that Buggy keeps, and we know that he wants to be the king of the pirates. Both Buggy and Odin's wife Toki, who was also a devil fruit user, happened to fall sick when the Roger Pirates left for Laugh Tale, and the government funded the construction of the Tequila Wolf Bridge to connect all the islands, since some of the strongest members of the government used devil fruits. Shanks would obviously have some knowledge of it, and for that reason, he didn't recruit any devil fruit users in his crew. However, this is just a theory. Moving on, Shanks' crew was quick to rise and eventually encountered the Whitebeard Pirates. This is where Shanks met Marshall D. Teach once again. Around this time, Teach was still in Whitebeard's crew, and as a result, he didn't have the dark fruit, nor was he called Blackbeard. An altercation took place between Shanks and Teach, which ended with Shanks acquiring 3 scars across his left eye, which made it look like he had been scratched by an animal. The clawed scar, combined with Shanks and Buggy having discussed that Teach did not sleep, created another theory about Blackbeard not being human, but instead some sort of creature. Most people believe that he's a type of Cerberus, which is the 3-headed dog of the underworld. This theory is strengthened further by the Blackbeard Pirates' Jolly Roger being 3-headed, Luffy and Zoro referring to him as they and Jaya, several characters, including Shanks, mentioning Blackbeard's odd body composition, and him being able to use 2 fruits and being on the lookout for a third. The fact that we saw a Cerberus in the Thriller Bark arc adds fuel to the fire, and with Blackbeard's dark fruit negating devil fruit powers, Shanks is his natural enemy. Shanks had also found a rival in the strongest swordsman of the world, Dracul Mihawk. The 2 super powerful pirates would fight often, with their battles echoing throughout the Grand Line. Eventually, the crew came across a very important government ship. In this ship was the Gomu Gomu no Mi, or the Gum Gum fruit, which was being guarded by Who's Who. You might remember Who's Who from the Wano arc, where he was a member of the Tobiropo and the one who lost to Jinbei. He was also the first person to mention Nika by name. Back then, however, he was a CP9 agent. Lucky Roo from Shanks' crew was able to steal the fruit, and the failure to protect it on Who's Who's part led to him being absolved of his position among the CP9. As you may now know, the Gum Gum fruit is not a simple paramecia fruit that allows its user to stretch. In reality, it's known as the human fruit, model Nika, which is a rare mythical zone fruit based on the sun god Nika, who was known as the warrior of liberation. The fruit allowed its user to have a body made of rubber, and back during the time of the ancient kingdom, its user was Joy Boy. It was the war against Joy Boy that led to the formation of the world government, the dislocation of the poneglyphs, and that century's erasure from history. The answers to this were found in Laugh Tale by the Roger Pirates, where Roger had mentioned that he was a bit too early, implying that someone else was meant to find it after him. It's highly possible that Shanks found out about these from the Roger Pirates, and as a result, took it upon himself to secure the future of the world. For this reason, he and his crew procured the Gum Gum fruit from the government. Meeting Luffy, Shanks in Dawn Island. The crew arrived on Dawn Island soon after, where they met Monkey D. Luffy in Fuchsia Village. Shanks turned the island into his base and stayed there for a year, and during this time, Luffy and Shanks grew close and developed a strong bond. One day, while at Makino's bar, Luffy ate the Gum Gum fruit that Shanks had. At first, the red-haired pirate freaked out, but was quick to realize that the fruit had probably chosen Luffy, considering the fact that zone-type fruits have a mind of their own. Around this time, Shanks even saved Luffy from a Sea King, as Luffy had been thrown into the water by a bandit. Having eaten the devil fruit, Luffy was bound to drown and die in the oceans, so Shanks stepped in to save him, just like he saved Buggy so long ago. He used Conqueror's Haki to scare the Sea King away, but lost his arm in the process. Why he lost his arm remains unknown, as the Sea King should not be able to land an attack on Shanks, who could have used Armament Haki to protect his arm. However, some believe that Shanks allowed his arm to be eaten to teach Luffy a lesson about the stakes so that he would become a great pirate, since he probably knew that Luffy was Joy Boy. Well, he's not exactly Joy Boy or Nika, but they are all connected via the devil fruit. Others believe that it could have just been a retcon, as Oda hadn't planned out Haki in detail back then. Either way, Shanks had become an inspiration, role model, and something of a father figure to Luffy, and was the main reason behind Luffy wanting to become a pirate. As Shanks and his crew were leaving the village, Luffy proclaimed that he too would become a pirate. However, Shanks told him that he didn't have what it took to be a pirate. Irked, Luffy angrily claimed that he would have his own crew defeat Shanks' crew and become become the Pirate King. Following this, Shanks passed down the straw hat he had gotten from Roger to Luffy, as he asked him to return the hat back to him after becoming a great pirate. Naturally, the hat went on to become Luffy's treasure. Becoming a Yonko! Shanks and his crew return to the Grand Line, and at some point, they cross the Saboti Archipelago to enter the second half of the Grand Line, the New World. The duels between Shanks and Mihawk never resumed, as Mihawk refused to fight Shanks after the latter lost his arm. The New World is different from the first half of the Grand Line, or the rest of the world, in the sense that the equilibrium of powers is maintained by the Yonko, or the four emperors of the sea. Each emperor is generally a pirate, and has islands and nations under their protection and care, with the pirate and their crew residing on their respective islands if and when they're not sailing. 6 years after leaving Fuchsia Village, Shanks became one of the four emperors, and islands such as Elbaf came under his care. The other emperors were Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido. With the progression of the story, Whitebeard's death resulted in Blackbeard taking his spot as the emperor. In Wano, both Big Mom and Kaido were defeated, with Luffy defeating Kaido and Law and Kid defeating Big Mom. As of recording, the four emperors are Shanks, Luffy, Blackbeard, and surprisingly, Buggy. Abilities. Why is Shanks so powerful? Shanks is a human with no devil fruit. As a result, he has a standard human anatomy, unlike fishmen, giants, and the like, and has not experienced any alteration in this anatomy due to not having a fruit. However, it has been established time and again that all one truly needs is good Haki, as that can negate the powers of devil fruits and allow humans to fight and win against stronger races. Like Goldie Roger, who was the strongest of his time and probably still remains unsurpassed by everyone except maybe Emu, Shanks also finds his tremendous strength thanks to his Haki. He's also kind of Roger's successor and has a similar fighting style as the former Pirate King. For this reason, Shanks wields a sword named Griffin as his weapon of choice, which he often uses in combination with his Haki. Shanks possesses all three types of Haki, namely Conqueror's, Observation, and Armament. His Conqueror's Haki has been referred to as overwhelming by Jozu from Whitebeard's crew, with it managing to knock out several members of the Whitebeard pirates who were strong enough to be a part of a Yonko crew headed by the strongest pirate from pre-timeskip. Each type of Haki has an advanced version as well, and naturally Shanks possesses Advanced Conqueror's Haki. This upgrade operates by allowing the user to significantly strengthen any attack by infusing it with Conqueror's Haki. It's been used several times by Luffy and Kaido in their battle. Another notable user of this type of Haki is Zoro, who coated his swords with his Haki during his battle against the Lunarian King. It only makes sense for Shanks to be able to use it, but what makes him special is how he can control its range. Sometime towards the end of the Wano Country saga, the island is attacked by Admiral Greenbull. Yamato tries to handle the battle alone to let the Straw Hat pirates have their fun, but was overwhelmed by the Admiral. The fight finally comes to a close with Shanks launching a very long-ranged Conqueror's Haki attack while being miles away at sea. It was able to defeat Greenbull quite easily, which is crazy since admirals are generally very powerful. Not too long ago, Shanks fought Kid and one-shotted the Supernova as he coated Griffin with his Conqueror's Haki and launched Divine Departure. The attack was so powerful that it landed heavy damage on all members of the Kid pirates and their ship. This attack has previously been used by Roger against Odin, proving again how Shanks has followed in Roger's footsteps. What's interesting about his Divine Departure against Kid is that one could say his Conqueror's is much more powerful than Big Mom's, as Kid was able to withstand and counter Big Mom's attacks, but was one-shotted by Shanks. The red-haired pirate has even clashed his sword against Whitebeard's Supreme Grade Sword, with the resulting impact splitting the sky. Finally, his Advanced Conqueror's has the ability to negate an opponent's future sight, which brings us to Observation Haki. This type of Haki gives its user a superior sixth sense, allowing them to assess the strength and presence of their opponent, their next moves, their emotional state, and the like. This type of Haki also has a great range, allowing the user to observe something that is taking place a bit farther away despite not being able to see it. For example, Boa Hancock was able to sense that Luffy had been rescued in Law's Polar Tang after the Summit War at Marineford. Shanks' Observation Haki has an even greater range, as seen when he was able to sense Greenbull's attack in Wano despite being miles away, and then he successfully sent a powerful attack in the right direction using the necessary amount of strength needed to take down the Admiral with ease. The advanced version of the Observation Haki is known as Future Sight, which allows the user to see a couple of seconds into the future. This was first introduced with Katakuri, who could see 5 seconds into the future as he used this ability to counter Luffy during their fight. Eventually, Luffy acquired this ability for himself. Shanks was seen using his Future Sight when he sensed the presence of the Kid pirates. And finally, we have Armament Haki, which allows the user to coat their body or weapons defensively to strengthen sharpen their attacks or increase their defense. We see just how powerful Shanks' armament Haki is when he arrives in Marineford and uses his coated sword to block Akainu's magma punch. So far, Akainu had taken 0 losses and he had killed Ace, scarred Luffy and Jinbei, and punched holes into Whitebeard. However, Shanks' armament Haki was able to block the Admiral's attack with ease. The advanced form of armament Haki is called Rio, which allows the user to send an invisible burst of an attack without making physical contact. The attack then hits the opponent's internal organs as it bypasses their exterior. We've never seen Shanks use such an attack, but as one of the strongest characters in the series, he can probably do so. Next up, we have swordsmanship. Like many other characters in the show, Shanks uses a sword, which he most probably acquired after meeting Ace, since prior to that, he was seen with different swords. He was skilled enough as a swordsman to be the rival of the world's strongest swordsman, Mihawk, with both fighting one another on the daily until Shanks lost an arm. His swordplay is enhanced to the max by his Haki. All in all, Shanks is easily one of the most powerful characters in One Piece, as attested by his bounty of over 4 million berries, which is the highest bounty among all the Yonkos. Kaido even mentioned Shanks' strength being comparable to the likes of Roger, Rox D. Zebek, and Whitebeard. While Kaido himself was the world's strongest creature, he was stopped by Shanks from attacking Whitebeard a day before the Summit War. Meanwhile, Luffy had to unlock his overpowered Gear 5 to beat Kaido, and even then it was a difficult battle. Well, Shanks probably didn't struggle at all. Luffy is extremely powerful now, but based on the fact that Shanks probably had it easy against Kaido, we can only imagine just how powerful Shanks truly is. In Marineford, he stopped the war with just his words, probably because everyone was aware of how powerful he was. Even Blackbeard, who had acquired the power of Whitebeard's Earthquake Fruit while having the powers of his own Dark Fruit, dipped out of confronting Shanks. In fact, the Elder, Jew Peter, mentioned how Shanks had the potential to defeat Blackbeard, which makes so much sense not because of how powerful Shanks is, but because Blackbeard's most overpowered ability results in him nullifying his opponent's Devil Fruit. So this ability is going to be completely useless against somebody who doesn't have a Devil Fruit. To top that off, good Haki can neutralize and counter Devil Fruits, so with a Haki like Shanks's, he should ideally be able to negate the effects of both of Blackbeard's fruits. Who is stronger? Shanks versus Mihawk. This is currently a hot topic among One Piece fans, with Twitter often erupting into flames over the debate. In fact, there are real stocks in the market that one can invest in with respect to this argument. The argument exists because, for starters, Mihawk and Shanks have been rivals, proving that the gap between the two of them is only marginal. Secondly, Shanks wields a sword and so does Mihawk, but Mihawk has been referred to as the strongest swordsman in the world, which technically makes him stronger than Shanks. However, the argument isn't actually that simple. Mihawk definitely has impeccable Haki. He's the second person after the sword god Ryuma to have a black blade and wields the supreme grade sword Yoru. He is a pure swordsman like Zoro, Ryuma, and Odin. On the other hand, Shanks is not known so much as a swordsman, and what sets him apart is his Haki, based on which some people argue that Shanks is stronger than Mihawk due to his Haki and doesn't fall under the category of One Piece swordsman. He's more of a sword user. For example, you don't need to be a sniper to use a gun. Of course, the sniping skills of the sniper are going to be better than that of his gun-using non-sniper opponent, but that doesn't mean that in an all-out battle he'll win, since the opponent can just use another technique to take the sniper out. Then again, Mihawk has been known for his strength and strength alone, with his power being the first thing people think of when they think of Mihawk. He is also the final antagonist for one of the most important characters of the show, Zoro, while Shanks is not someone whose strength is narratively as important as Mihawk's, which gives the point to Mihawk for this argument. Either way, this debate between the swordsman and the Haki man is never-ending, and there's a chance that it will never be solved. Marvelous verdict! One Piece is currently in its final saga, and we've begun to see the big guns being pulled out with the appearance of the Elders in Egghead and a lot of lore drop on the Void Century and Nika, from Oda to us and from Vegapunk to the world. The reunion between Luffy and Shanks isn't too far away anymore, with the red-haired pirates and the Straw Hats heading towards Laugh Tale, as Shanks has finally begun to move as well, which can be confirmed by him attacking Kid to get the road poneglyphs. We can only wait for the culmination of these events, as it is highly possible that Shanks will be a key player in the battle against Blackbeard. Either way, the day we get to see Shanks battling at full power is closer than ever before. With that, today's video comes to an end. Did you enjoy it? What are your thoughts on the legendary pirate Shanks? We want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Until next time, this is Wheezy249 signing off, but you can always find me on Twitch. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.